Charmaine Tay,
My name is Brent Niven, and we have the shoulder joint.
and we felt like what's the best way of showing the shoulder joint through showing Clemson's favorite sport through football. And we're going to show you what the players go through as far as practice in the field each day and a range of motion through the shoulder.
In the shoulder joint is a ball and socket joint, which this is going to allow for a wide range of motion. And the shoulder joint involves is the articulation of the humerus and the scapula. And the shoulder joint is composed of a wide range of muscles. It includes the pectoralis major, which is right here, the coracobrachialis, which is right here near the shoulder. You got the biceps, you got the deltoid, and you got the supraspinatus, which is a rotator cuff muscle, and it sits on the posterior part of the scapula. You have the infraspinatus, which is another rotator cuff muscle, and it also sits on the posterior part of the scapula. You got the teres minor, which is another rotator cuff muscle, and it sits on the posterior scapula as well. Then you got the subscapularis, which is the last rotator cuff muscle, and this one sits on the anterior side of the scapula. And then you got the teres major, which also sits on the posterior section of the scapula. And you have the triceps, and the latissimus dorsi, which is a very large muscle on your back. And just to give you an example of the ranges of motion that we'll be going over, for the shoulder joint, we'll have flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, internal rotation, external rotation, and circumduction. And enough with the boring details, let's get to the action.
Okay. And with the action, our first range of motion we're going to show you is flexion. And an example of flexion is like catching the ball, extending if the QB was to throw overhead, as Brent will show you.
Now the chance would I be the receiver? I'm just catching a ball going up ahead.
Yes, and that would be if a QB was to throw a ball to a receiver, going ahead and just extending your arms in full range of motion. And that's just an example of flexion. And those muscles include the pectoralis major, coracobrachialis, biceps, deltoids, and the subscapularis.
Subscapularis.
Yeah. And
okay. And the next one is extension. And extension, what we're going to do to demonstrate is, it's just the quarterback reaching back, the audible, to his running back, and the wide receiver to get ready to run. Yeah, so the extension would be the quarterback going back, the audible, the arms just going straight back, and the muscles that help or assist with extension is infraspinatus, the teres minor, the teres major, tricep, and the latissimus dorsi.
And the next range of motion we'll talk about is abduction, and this is more so if the QB was to toss to a running back. So Brent was like my running back tossed to QB.
The quarterback hikes the ball and he tosses it over to the running back. Abduction is just
going away from the body.
The arm going away from the body.
Yeah. And those muscles are, abduction includes biceps, deltoids, and subspinatus. And another way of abduction also is quiet down the crowd, which QB does a lot, and Brent talked about.
All right. And the next one is adduction, which is, she just mentioned it just a few seconds ago. An example would be just a quarterback quiet down the crowd. So he would do this during the game, which your arms are coming towards the body. So that's adduction. And of course, Deshaun would do this to quiet down the crowd so he can concentrate on scoring the winning touchdown. And the muscles that assist with adduction include the pectoralis major, the coracobrachialis, the teres major, the triceps, and the latissimus dorsi.
And another one, action that goes often with the players, and internal rotation, and that's when the QB is basically looking at his play sleeves and his arms.
So he would often go to this during the huddle, just bringing that arm, rotating it in towards the body to look at his play sleeve.
And the muscles that includes in that rotation is the internal rotation, includes the pectoralis major, biceps, deltoids, subspalis, and I think this one's that.
So latissimus dorsi.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, and the external rotation is basically the first step in throwing the football by QB.
So the external rotation is just rotating the arm away from the body. So the quarterback would rotate his arm out from the body, and then he would go back to throw the ball. But of course, all the first step is going to be externally rotating the arm.
And the muscles that include with that is the infraspinatus major, and that we'll talk about the last rotation. Okay.
And it's just last one's the infraspinatus and just the teres major, and the last one we have is circumduction. And of course, every quarterback needs a good warm up. So before you see Deshaun Watson go on the field, he's going to go around just to warm up his shoulders. So this is all this is just circumduction. I know it looks really weird, but it works. And it just takes place when the arms is just kind of circular motion. So you start out in front of your body, rotate it up, go an extension and come back down. That's all we have. I hope you enjoyed our presentation of the shoulder joint.